Dynasty fantasy football owners, week 2 of the NFL is in the books, and we've got some reactions for you. Steve has a pretty hot one for us. You want to start us off, Steve?
Well, if anything, I don't know about hot. I almost feel like I'm taking out the fire extinguisher and trying to make it so that the fire
Okay.
goes down because I
Putting
think
out the
people need
fire.
to slow down. And the player I'm talking about is Kyle Pitts. He is probably the number one person talked about right now. People were expecting huge things out of him, me included. I spent like $41 in an auction league for him. So I really did want him. But I have to be honest, I wasn't expecting a huge game against the Rams. I really wasn't. When you watch back the tape, when they played the Saints, they had a lot more time to throw the ball. I knew that with Aaron Donald being the wrecking ball that he is, that they would have to figure out a way to give Mariota time to throw the ball. And, Pitts is underrated as a blocker. So I really wasn't surprised that he wasn't featured in that offense. I think people are starting to panic on him, and he's a great buy low right now because of what he's done. I mean, even his target size dropped, which kind of I feel like supports the narrative I'm saying about him. But I mean, in the dynasty league, if somebody's panicking on him, I mean, like this is a gift. I mean, like this guy is a uber talent. I mean, you don't see the type of tight ends that come out like Kyle Pitts. I mean, if you could get him, kind of pennies on a dollar, you do that right away. I don't care what it costs. And it might be without Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith, I'm not really surprised by his comment. If you've ever watched any of his interviews, he's super cagey. Like he and the media don't get along at all. And it might be that Kyle Pitts doesn't have that great of a year as we expected, and then Arthur Smith leaves, and then somebody else comes in, and he ends up being the bona fide star that he'll become. But I wouldn't panic about Kyle Pitts at all at this point.
Hmm.
Interesting, Steve. I mean, apparently Arthur Smith doesn't think Kyle Pitts is going to help him win games. They're just not worried about fantasy stats, but apparently, to his comment, he's not going to help him win games, which I disagree. I don't know how you can't be a little panicked at this point. I mean, coming off of two catches in two straight games. I mean, this is supposed to be one of the top three tight ends in the league fantasy wise. Everyone was on him, and like you said, had to spend a significant draft capital to get him. Uh, I don't know. I mean, Mariota doesn't seem to target him that much. He loves Drake London so far. It is a little concerning.
I wasn't expecting the Drake London usage. I really wasn't because we didn't see that from Mariota. But like I said, I wait and see. That was a tough defense with the Rams, and they had to game plan against that. And he likes doing sound bites like that. I honestly I take that with a grain of salt. I really do. I think he'll get more involved in the offense. This guy Arthur Smith doesn't care at all what the media or anybody else has to say.
So Joe is pressing the panic button on Kyle Pitts, and Steve is trying to slap your hand away from the panic button, is what I'm getting out of this. All right.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, Joe, who's our next player?
All right. Next player I got is getting a lot of attention, especially in the Denver media, and that is quarterback Russell Wilson. A lot of guys are panicked. I think partly is as a Broncos fan, we had lofty expectations for this guy. Haven't had a quarterback since Peyton Manning left us. Russell was supposed to be the guy. We expected big things, multiple touchdown games. Nathaniel Hackett was supposed to let him cook. Now, he got 340 yards against the Seahawks, came back with a disappointing game, only just over 200 yards against the Houston Texans, only one touchdown in both games. But I'm still not that panicked on him. The play calling, game decisions, sure, Mark Hackett for all day long, but I see there's play designs, there's hope for this offense. I think eventually they get this thing going. There's just several plays where Alberto dropped the ball. They had a nice play on a play action play to Tyree Cleveland, once again dropped it. Sutton, if he only keeps his foot in bounds earlier in the game, Russell Wilson's got two touchdowns. Like I said, the efficiency hasn't been good, but the plays are there. I think just stick with them and you'll get a benefit from it.
Joe, I told you when Nathaniel Hackett was going to become the head coach that you should be concerned. I was, as a Bills fan, I saw him run that offense as an offensive coordinator, and this guy has no idea what is going on. He is literally playing chess against himself. Honestly, I think that he's got great talent. Why are you doing a third and one play? Why are you doing a tight end sweep to like your third or fourth tight end when Javonte Williams is averaging over 5 yards a carry and you've got players like Cortland Sutton? It just blows my mind. I wouldn't be worried about Russell Wilson. I think people are a little overreacting. Maybe, Hackett, I don't know what. Maybe he has an epiphany and all of a sudden he actually starts doing the right thing. I think overall on dynasty value, they will figure it out. They didn't do anything in the preseason. So, this offense is still trying to gel. Give it a few weeks, see what happens. The potential is still there.
I agree with you. And now I know you did warn me on Hackett, but I just, I thought the Broncos might be running something similar to how Hackett ran things when he was in Jacksonville. Let the running game go. He had made Blake Bortles. They nearly got to the Super Bowl with Blake Bortles, made him look good. So I figured, hey, Hackett runs first system, play action in Denver with the weapons that Russell Wilson's never had before. We were expecting big things, just haven't seen it yet. But like you said, I think we will.
All right, Steve, who's your next player?
Yeah, so my next player is wide receiver Garrett Wilson from the Jets, and I have to say I got to take the L on this one. I really wasn't expecting a lot of things from Garrett Wilson. I thought the offense would run more through Elijah Moore. After watching that game, I'm honestly astonished. Like I think the Browns I think were a pretty good defense. I mean, with Clowney and Garrett, I mean, they can get to the quarterback pretty quickly with just a 4-man rush. I thought they had pretty good coverage guys, but I mean, Flacco was swinging the ball. I mean, even like Garrett Wilson's average depth of target, it's got to be pretty high. I thought that, he would have to be pretty, going to be pressured all game. He would have to dump it off to Elijah Moore, but he's got a decent amount of time and he's just, chucking it downfield. And there's no doubt Garrett Wilson has shown that he's a red zone threat. I mean, he's already been looked like his targets in the red zone have got to be pretty strong so far in the past 2 weeks. I am a believer that fit matters, and I may overestimate this. For example, I had Pickens way higher than I did Garrett Wilson, because to me, I just didn't buy into the Jets. I don't buy into Zach Wilson. And so for me, the Steelers have been a wide receiver factory. The guy's super talented. I'm going to believe in the team and how they're going to use him. So I'm more optimistic about him, but I'm very curious to see what does it look like when Zach Wilson's the quarterback, because, a quarterback targets different players. They have a different style of play. So I think you got to see like the ceiling of what he is. I just hope for those who are really excited about Wilson, this doesn't become the proverbial carrot that you can always reference this game and you keep chasing this carrot, wanting him to repeat the performance, and it may never come.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, coming into the draft, Steve, I had told you that Garrett Wilson was my number one guy. Coming out of Ohio State, I felt like he was the best route runner, and that's a big thing. I know you were a big fan of Pickens, but the guys that run routes, you saw it in that Browns game. I mean, he's a polished route runner for a rookie. But I do think with the changing quarterback, Elijah Moore could see more work in the future. So definitely, like as you said, don't chase the proverbial carrot. Looking for that big game or expecting that to happen every week, because things definitely could shake up there.
So we're talking about rookie wide receivers. How would you guys rank the wide receiver draft class? I can tell you how they went in our league. We went Drake London, number 1, Treylon Burks, number 2, Jameson Williams, number 3, Chris Olave, number 4, Christian Watson, number 5, and Garrett Wilson actually fell to 6. Now, after 2 weeks of watching how they've done, how would you guys rank those wide receivers from this last draft class?
Well, Christian Watson should never have been in the top five. That was a
He
reach.
snuck in there.
Oh, that was a reach right from the get-go. But you've gotta. It's a mix between what you've seen and what is going to be unveiled in the future. I think for me, I still Jamison Williams to me is number one just based on that level of talent, and then I go number two Pickens. I'm a big Pickens guy. I think that Trubisky offense is not good. Let's see what it looks like when he's he had a huge hype in the preseason. I'm buying and I believe in him.
Sticking with Pickens.
Sticking with Pickens. And then I think I'd go, boy, I think I got to go London. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect what I've seen from him so far. So I'd go London, and then I'd probably go Garrett Wilson and then Burks. I'd round out. Those are the five I'd round out with.
Interesting. Pickens at 2, Steve. I don't know. That's lofty, man. Well, for mine, I got to keep my guy Garrett Wilson at number 1, giving me no reason to not believe in that. Number 2, I'll go Drake London. He's been a big surprise. Looked really good so far. 3, I'll go with Jameis Williams. I agree with you. His talent, I know he hasn't hit the field yet, but the talent is there, and he should be very good. 4th and 5th, man, this is pretty tough. I think I'll go Olave 4 and Burks 5th. And I'll keep Pickens out of my top 5.
Wrong. That's a bad move. Neither of us put Dotson in there though, and Dotson has looked really good too. But
yeah, he has. He has been surprising. I mean, he's definitely getting a lot more targets than I thought he would, especially seeing how Terry McLaurin is actually the player that's kind of taken the back seat there, which is crazy to me.
Outrageous.
All right, Joe, who is your second player?
Second player is running back Christian McCaffery. Now, I know this is a surprising one. Just watching the game, I was even myself overreacting a little bit because I'm watching the game and I'm like, man, what is Matt Rule doing? And Baker Mayfield, he's letting him go. He's letting Baker Mayfield cook, and we've seen this before. Like, he's not a good quarterback.
That's what he does, Joe.
I know.
Let Baker bake.
He has no recipes, Joe. He's a horrible cook.
Yeah, I don't know. Matt Rule needs to find a different recipe for this offense to work. That's for sure. Baker was most successful when you heavy run game, works off the play action, but when he's passing, doesn't look too good. But watching the game, I was like, man, they're not getting Christian McCaffrey the ball enough at all. They're not designing any plays for him. But then if you look at his stat line, I mean, his carries did increase by 5 from 10 to 15 this week. 4 out of 5 targets, 4 catches, 2 straight games. Didn't end up with a touchdown, but we did see a big play from him, that 49-yard run. If we see more explosive plays out of him, things could be better. But I would like to see the usage, but maybe that is trying to keep him healthy. I mean, we as McCaffrey owners, we have to be healthy. You still have to be encouraged by the fact that he's still healthy. He's not hurt. I don't know if that's a game plan or not, but I think Matt Rule definitely has to figure out a way to get this guy more involved.
Joe, what's your favorite saying?
Best ability is availability. And
there
so far,
it is.
He's available right now.
I think
load management.
Yeah, load management. That's right, LeBron. I think for me, I'm concerned about McCaffrey, and my reason being not because of the player. I think the player has got a lot of juice. I think the problem is like that offense is in shambles. I think Baker might be the worst quarterback out there right now.
Hey, you watch your mouth.
He is skipping balls to receivers. I mean, they're trying to get McCaffrey involved. I just think, sometimes, depending on how the offense is running, could that make a big impact on the player? And because of that, because of Rule and a combination of Mayfield, I mean, when it was Darnold, he was doing a lot better. And, Darnold wasn't very good either. People drafted him early in redraft leagues expecting a lot from him. I just, at this point, I don't think you're going to get the early dividend. You're not going to get the dividends of the investment. It won't pay off for you, really. I think that he could be good, but he's not. His ceiling is limited due to Rule and Baker. And until something changes, I think that's going to be the status quo.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think maybe we have to just change our expectations. Maybe just expect maybe that 16 to 20 fantasy point range instead of what we're kind of used to in the past with the big 30 to 40 games. He might still get that if the explosive plays come. Like he did have that explosive 49-yard run. That was nice to see. But Sam Darnold checked it out, the ball down more. For some reason, Baker thinks he's more athletic than he is and can scramble like he's Jalen Hurts or something. He needs to just dump it down to McCaffrey more. But I also don't know why Matt Rule doesn't run any screens in this offense. Have to find ways to get your best players the ball. I mean, they even struggle to get DJ Moore the ball. So Matt Rule needs to scheme something up for sure.
They got to get some TV dinners, put them in there, put them in the microwave, and let them go. Because the reality is, like you're saying, McCaffrey's not. There's no explosion in that offense. I mean, isn't it an indictment on the offense that they play the Cleveland Browns and do as bad as they do, and then Joe Flacco, like he's like been out of the league and he's throwing like all over the place. Like that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then even like you had talked earlier with me in that Tennessee game, week 1, the Giants, Hilliard, their running back, was heavily involved in the passing game. Panthers just got done playing the Giants. Linebackers weren't impressive week 1 for the Giants. They don't use McCaffrey out of the backfield at all. It's like, did they not watch the week 1 tape on how good Hilliard did? He got 2 touchdowns.
It's mind blowing.
Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco, Steve. Put some respect on the man.
Oh,
I
geez.
know, brother. Coming from a Ravens fan.
The man's a legend. Till he wasn't. All right, Steve. Who is your next player reaction from week 1?
So this is my player I'm probably most panicked about, honestly. And it's Derrick Henry. I watched that game yesterday. And I was encouraged going into the season. Shout out to Dr. Chow. I watched one of his videos talking about how, he's like he's like running uphill and he's showing great bursts. I didn't know if he'd come back from the injury. So I actually was, a little bit higher on him. I thought, okay, we're going to expect good things. I'm a Bills fan. Derrick Henry has been known to gash us. And I know that we've, done work on the defensive line. I get that. Ed Oliver was out of the game. I know we've got Jordan Phillips, but he should have been far more successful than he was. And that man showed no burst at all. When somebody tackled him, he fell down. I think we have seen Derrick Henry officially hit the wall. I think that, and now if he goes off in like 2 weeks playing like a really bad run defense, you sell him faster than you can. Like as fast as you can, get rid of that guy. Because that offense, Tannehill doesn't have the level of talent, with A.J. Brown out there. They don't have someone that can really blow the top off the defense. I know Burks has looked better than I anticipated, but that offense, they can just stack the box. And Haskins, honestly, it was the backup Bills defensive line, but he showed a little bit more flash. I'm very concerned about Derrick Henry moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. The Bills did upgrade their defensive line. I think maybe just temper that a little bit. Mind you, he didn't look impressive. His burst definitely isn't there. You showed me that video in the offseason. He was available for trade in our league, and I was trying hard to acquire him.
You got spared.
Yeah, I think it looks good that I wasn't able to acquire him at this point. But he's still getting some workload. Maybe, like you said, if he's facing a weaker defense, maybe he does better. But yeah, it does seem like some of that burst and then his ability to break tackles is definitely decreased from what we had seen.
I don't remember the full details of the trade, but I do know it turned into a first-round pick, which was Kayvon Thibodeau and Cam Akers. Right now, I'm going with that end of the deal. I actually thought that the trade with Henry actually was going to work out, but like I said, he doesn't pass the eye test right now at all.
And Derrick Henry single-handedly won my redraft championship a couple years ago when I had him.
Those days are no more, Pete.
He's close to my heart. It's hard to hear this.
You got it. This is where your level of attachment, you just need to say,
I know.
It's been real. But it's time to move on.
Give me Derrick Henry and Baker Mayfield, and just let me go.
You're going to be cooking up some bad recipes.
Let me tank.
Yeah.
Like Chicken Pedro, Pete.
Oh, we don't want to talk about that. All right, Joe. Who's your last player?
All right, last player is defensive end Aiden Hutchinson. He had a very disappointing week 1. I think he only ended up with 1 tackle in the game. But man, he came back and rebounded in this game. He was an absolute animal. 3 sacks of Carson Wentz. Put Wentz under pressure all day. Even got dinged up, I think, in the second or third quarter of this game, but fought through it. Guy could barely walk. He made such an impression on Carson Wentz in that game. Carson Wentz made it a point to go up and slap him up and talk to him after the game and congratulate him as he could barely walk off the field. But I think it's encouraging. I had a little bit of concern with Hutchinson, especially coming in and playing that 4-3 defense with the Lions. Wasn't sure. He said he liked actually playing the 3-4 at Michigan in his last year. He liked the angle it came from, saw standing up. He was able to see things differently. So I had a little bit of concern, but after watching that game, he's still got a lot of power, the high motor, 3 sacks in one game. He's actually the 4th youngest player in the NFL to record 3 sacks in a game. So he was impressive and, should be expecting not 3 sacks, but definitely a lot more pressure and more output out of him in the future here.
Yeah, I was concerned. I was with you. There was a part of me that was, I don't want to say he was a 1-year wonder, but obviously he had that great year in Michigan last year. And I was worried about, like you said, going from a 3-4 to a 4-3. How is that going to change him? Because some players are just good at a certain style of defense. To me, though, he was a blue chip player. He was in our league anyways, with his more of a true position IDP Dynasty league. He was a top 3 pick for me all day long just because, he has the ability to be a superstar. And you saw that there. And plus, I don't know who else scares you on the Detroit line. So to me, that was a part of the concern as well. But he tape doesn't lie. He really showed out. So it's definitely an encouraging sign for him moving forward.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Let us know in the comments. Do you agree with our assessments? Do you have any players from week 1 that you are either buying stock in or panicking on? Let us know. We're pretty interactive. We love to interact with people who comment on our videos. So definitely do that. Subscribe. Give us a follow. We're going to be doing these weekly recaps each week. And then we also have other content on here. So definitely hop on board.